I love making lists. And I had a to-do list before I turned 30. And having a baby was the last thing on that list to tick off. And on my 30th birthday, I was 3 months pregnant. Madhav was a very welcomed child in our lives. हम बहुत time से उनके लिए ready थे. We could say that. गौरव ज़्यादा ready थे. Since he was our firstborn, it was just beginning of a new phase till we figured that he was in the spectrum. A lot of times the experts will ask you, how was your pregnancy? और मैं हमेशा उनको यही कहती हूँ कि मेरी प्रेगनेंसी बहुत ज़्यादा हाइपर एक्टिव थी, शायद इसीलिए मेरा बच्चा जो है वो क्लिनिकली ही हाइपर एक्टिव पैदा हुआ है. When we went for the school interviews, I think that was the most traumatic day of my life. If I have felt overwhelmed or cried ever, still. This is silly. The teacher came out and then she said, you may want to get your child tested for autism. I didn't quite know how to react. For me, it was a stranger after 45 minutes of spending time with my child telling me that you may want to get your child tested for autism. Madhav, autism was not making sense. And I think that was the first and the only time when I had come back home and I had cried and cried and cried. I never knew the word autism. I always thought autism had to do with a disability of the mind, a mental disability.
Floor 12.
Chale? All I did was Google once in a while to see what was being spoken about and exploring something called the red flags. Now, red flags are these set of 20-25 points that you can, by observing your child and ticking the boxes, figure from whether your child falls in the spectrum or not. I found very few red flags with Madhav. So typically things like arranging toys pattern-wise. Madhav is back home, which is that everything that was put properly on one side has been moved to where Madhav thinks it's right. So the soft toys have gone there, the Angry Birds is here. So if you will give him cars to play with, he won't play like this, or he won't move it on the road or a makeshift road, or he wouldn't act like the driver. What he could perhaps do is line the cars like this. These are about 7 puzzles which were mixed in together, and first he has separated the big pieces and now he's going to make all 3 of them. But yeah, this is typical of a child in the spectrum, which is that whatever toys you have, you will line it up. You don't want it to be at a certain place. You in your mind have fixed. So there is this mess is every day exactly the same place. So there is a method to the mess as well. He could line them color-wise, he could line them shape-wise, he will line them randomly. But he will not play with the toy as appropriately as the toy has to be played with. And to me, that was one of the first signs. And of course, the delayed talking.
Mother! 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 Mother!
What did Mama say?
Mother!
Yeah, what did Mama say? Mama didn't say Mother, Mother.
Mother! Mother!
Did you meet cousins? Madhav's talking capability at the moment is that of a 3.5-year-old's. So he will communicate about his needs, he will communicate about what he wants, what he doesn't want, but can he, if I ask him what did you do at school, or what is outside, or what is this, chances are he will not answer me at all. In Madhav's case, we figured that his hyperactivity was a part of it. His sense to move was so heightened that he couldn't sit at one place, which is what typically is described as sitting intolerance in a lot of children. Sitting tolerance is very essential for a child to be able to learn anything, to be able to be in a classroom situation, to be able to go to school, for classes, for social interaction. So sitting tolerance is one of the most important thing in children, and the most important thing missing in children like mine. Because the texture is the same and everything looks alike, he can have this with spoon. But otherwise, if there are too many elements, then he likes to eat it with hand because it's sensory. Now RDI, which was the relationship developmental intervention, it asks you to break patterns. कि अगर बच्चा एक ही चीज़ में खा रहा है तो वो प्लेट चेंज कर दो, या अगर उसको किसी एक चीज़ से ऑब्सेशन है तो वो चेंज कर दो. But what happens is the child is so used to eating it in a certain way. You want to eat this?
Yeah.
Okay, go. That you can't break those patterns. So you choose your battles. We first got our diagnosis from a psychiatrist who suggested occupational therapy, which is popularly known as OT, and speech therapy, and something called ABA, which is applied behavioral analysis. ABA works on the principle of reinforcement. So I will give you this, you have to say this. So ABA achieved speech for us because Madhav started to mand. Mand is asking. So he started asking for water, for food, for park time, for play time, and that's what triggered his speech. Blogging essentially was my way to vent out my frustrations, my experiences, whatever new I was learning. It just became a medium for me to take it out of my system, and while writing something that affected me and my child, perhaps help somebody else who is going through a similar issue. My first encounter with a support group happened when I went for a conference, and there were lots of parents who had come. So I interacted with them and I figured that they were on various WhatsApp groups. So those support groups become your real family. You'll be surprised that I interact with hundreds and hundreds of faceless people, and I know them, I know their child. We talk about so much, we talk about so many things that are intimate, but if they were to cross me at a mall, perhaps I wouldn't know them because they are faceless. I don't worry so much about my son as much as I worry about the world I am leaving him in. My worry is him finding an education system that will let him learn at his pace and thrive. My worry is about him being able to travel freely, travel alone with his idiosyncrasies, where people understand and say, all right, we have dealt with people like him, they are different and they just need to be. Remember that no one is the best therapist but you as a parent of the child, and life is changing, so embrace it. Yes, good job.
पार्क जानी है?
पार्क जा रहे हैं तुमने? अच्छा, तुमने अपने कपड़े चेंज कर लिए? Yay, good job. Give me 5, high five. Give me 5, high five. Give me high. Once you accept, once you stop comparing, once you do not pressurize yourself with expectations from you as a parent, from your child as a child, life is beautiful. You are living in a world where your child is spirited, happy and different, and you are embracing it and you are becoming a completely different person for the best. So there is a lot of hope. There is, I wouldn't want it any other way for myself. नाइट सूट पहन लिया तुमने? This was about Madhav. This was about my world. But in the days to come, I'll bring you many such special stories. So keep watching.